welcome to the Community Enrichment Fitness Network's Focus on Fitness, where making healthy choices creates healthy lifestyles. I'm Reverend Jesse Brown, your host, and on behalf of Sherry Hill and the whole CEFN family, welcome to our show. We have had a great season because we've had with us Dr. Brett Cardonick, and he has been telling us about spine manipulation and how to stay physically healthy. And I guess today we're going to talk a little bit more about what it takes to have a first visit at a chiropractic office. What do your office and what does your practice do?
Right. Well, what we always do with a new patient is we go through what's called a special screening to determine if the person that's sitting before me really needs to be in the office, if they belong there, before charging them for the time and the process. So that's always done at my expense. So we do two tests. The first thing we do is we check a person's posture.
All right, hold on a second. Let me just introduce here. Here's our intern, Dr. Q.
All right, so what we do is we're going to have him stand up. So this is Q, with whom I've never worked. And we're going to have the patient stand with their weight on both feet. And what I would like you to do is I want you to close your eyes. And if you feel lightheaded or dizzy, please open them. But bring your chin down to your chest. Bring your chin all the way up to the ceiling. And then come straight ahead, and when you think you're neutral, I want you to stop, but keep your eyes closed. Now, the reason his eyes are closed are so we can get what the body is really going through. That he's not using any cues. And what you can see, cues, that was funny. If I put my hands on top of his shoulders, you can see that my left hand is definitely higher than my right. And if you look at his head, it is definitely tilted to the side.
Okay.
And then lastly, his hands are way out in front of his hips. Okay? So Q, I want you to open up your eyes, but don't look. Don't move your head, rather. I'm going to change your posture. So I'm going to shift your head, and I'm going to change your shoulders here. So we're going to bring this back down. I'm going to bring your arms back. So in this position, you're actually more straight. How's that feel?
Awkward.
Awkward. And I get that a lot because this is what straight would be. And now go back, shake it all out.
He's been doing it the other way for so long.
Exactly.
That
So,
to him feels like normal.
So this is his normal posture. This is what he's used to. So based on this, the likelihood of him having subluxations, which we talked about before, is high. So we're going to go to the next test. So I'm going to have
remind folks what a
subluxation.
What's the word?
Subluxation.
That's the one.
That's the misalignment in the spine that affects how your body works.
Okay.
So we're going to see how that is. So what I need you to do now is I want you to lie down on your belly.
Okay.
So face down, and we're looking to see how the joints are moving, not whether there's pain or any discomfort. So I'm just going to check his spine to see how those joints are going. If anything's uncomfortable, you let me know. So we check the bottom, and when I push here, I know you can't see it, but
I'm going to slide over to the side.
Definitely tight on the left-hand side of his hip, and then L5 above that. And then I move up the spine. You can see sometimes they jump when it's tender.
Right.
And then we go up, and we go through here, and certainly on the right side of his neck, there's lots of tense muscle fibers there. Okay. So sit up for me, please. All right, so we're going to go ahead. So we've done our two screenings, and if neither of those tests were positive, then it may be that his problem is not due to subluxations. If either one or both are provocative, well, then the likelihood of subluxations is high, and we would talk about doing an evaluation. Now, we know his posture was off, so definitely doing an evaluation would be a very good idea. And what that would consist of would be chiropractic tests, orthopedic tests, neurological tests, range of motion, a whole bunch of things to find out where the subluxations are, get an idea as to how long they've been there, so that we can come up with a plan to work on correcting the problem. So what I have here is I have the chart that shows basically what my care plan goes through.
Okay.
And the number one thing is always education. We always want to make sure that we're not just working on the patient, we have to make sure that they understand why they're coming in and how their body works. Because the more someone understands about why they're there, the better results they get. So we always do workshops, things to give them more information about how they can best help their bodies. Once we're working on and make sure that education is a priority, then certainly the chiropractic adjustment, moving the vertebra to get that interference from the brain going down to the nervous system, so make sure that the body can do what it does as best as possible. With that, we use massage therapy. I have certified massage therapists that work with me. In addition, we do some other modalities. There's electric muscle stim.
Hold on one second, though. On the massage therapy, that's usually something that's done over and over again. In other words, you have to usually have more than one visit for that to be effective, correct?
Well, when we put it all together and we figure out what the patient needs, sometimes they need to come in once a week, sometimes they need to come in 3 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like going to the gym where it's repetitive for weeks upon weeks. It depends upon what their evaluation would show. So I can't tell you exactly what he would need until we would go through those other tests.
Okay.
But absolutely, we do use massage on every visit. On most visits, we're also using some sort of therapy, whether it be electric muscle stim or some traction, or my favorite, the dry hydro massage, which is lying on a waterbed, which helps improve the circulation, which helps with the healing process.
Okay.
These things all help with the visit.
We got a couple of minutes here. Let's see if we can go through it. What is the electric muscle stimulation, and what would that be used for?
Whenever there's subluxations, a lot of times there's irritation to the muscles that support those joints. So when that irritation is chronic and it's there all and on, we need to calm that down. So we take some electrodes and we put them on either side of the spine, and then we use the muscles, the electricity, to get rid of inflammation and decrease that spasm so that the joints will move a little bit easier when we go ahead and do the adjustment.
Okay.
To go in further with the traction, most people walk around with their heads so far forward that there's extra pressure pushing down on their spines from texting and all of that with the telephones. So we want to give some neck traction to try to open that up. And some of the exercises that we're going to go through will show some other ways to do that. The same thing with the lower back. The special tables that I have in the office, we're able to lower the legs to stretch out the lower back. Takes
But
more
they're
pressure
like,
off
it's like
the
a
joints.
waterbed thing.
That last one is the waterbed.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Well,
a washing
I know,
machine,
right?
but it's a waterbed. It's very nice. It's very relaxing, and it just gets those muscles to loosen up and gets the blood flowing, which really helps to calm things down with the adjustments. As we get through here, exercise prescription. We talked about how you can ride your bike without having all that pain. So there's always exercises to help with the posture and to help with getting the body to work better, how to stretch, and then certainly we need to get to strengthening. And then if we do all this, but we don't modify how they do things, the problem's going to come back again. So would I love to see Q 3 times a week for the rest of his life? Absolutely. I've got girls to put through school, but it's all about really just trying to get them to change their habits. Change their habits on an effort to create what I call the toolbox. At the end of a program of care, someone should have enough tools to where they can manage conditions on their own. I don't want them dependent upon me, on chiropractic, or on anything that I've done. They need to be able to learn how to handle things on their own. So we want to get them to the point of having that toolbox.
All right. Well, that would be a great thing. But you know, changing any habit is not an easy process.
That is for sure.
And I know from having worked on tobacco issues and actually wrote a curricula to help people quit smoking. You know, I know how difficult this process is in getting people to make this a habit. But this is important. People do need to make the changes that are prescribed a habit.
Correct. And unfortunately, it takes 90 days to create a habit, good or bad. The bad ones take a little shorter, I think. But
I think so too.
To make changes, it takes a long time to get that done. So that's where repetition comes in.
But then that's part of the mission of this show, is to give people a idea of what they can do and how they can participate in raising their own health level to a higher thing. Well, I'm in for all of these things because I do the exercise. I really do try, and I try to exercise often. I also change my exercise. You know, it gets kind of boring to do the same thing all over again, and sometimes you want to do different things on this. So let me tell my audience that we have had Dr. Brett Cardonick as part of our program on this season. He's been magnificent in giving us some tips and some things to stay healthy. You can go to the CEFN website, that's cefn.org, and get more on him, his practice, and you'll see some other things come up because he's going to show us something in the exercise portions too. Dr. Brett Cardonick has been giving us some great pointers on keeping our spines and bodies healthy. And he continues to do that even on this episode. We have a number of folks here who are going to, get down. Today we got another intern. That's what we get interns for. Enon, am I right? Ina, there we go. She's going to be our what do we call these people?
Test subjects.
Testers. There you go. She's going to be our tester. So, Dr. Cardonick, why don't you tell her what you want her to do today?
Before we pick on her, we're going to pick on you.
All right.
So I want you to pick up our improvised weights there.
Oh, yeah.
So now the first thing is, whenever you pick up your weights, let's put them back down again. We might as well do it correctly.
Okay.
You always want to get right in front of them.
Yep.
Pick them up, keep them close to your body, and then stand up. Because if you're reaching and twisting, that's potential for injury. And as much as I would love to have you as a patient, rather not it be on this show.
I mean, me too.
Okay. So when you're doing the weights, when we talked about your head posture before, even when you're doing bicep curls, you want to keep the head back, and you really want to isolate, and you want to keep the elbows back, and you keep the head relaxed. At the same time, you don't want to hold your breath.
Right.
So you want to breathe. If you have to count out loud, you want to do that. And let's say that you're working your arms and your upper body, but you have a low back problem. You can do those same exercises sitting down. So you sit in a chair, you sit all the way back with some support, and you can still do it.
Got it.
So even though you have an injury, you can work your way around it.
Now, does it make a difference doing it this way or opposite hands?
It depends what you want to do.
Okay.
You can have, there's a lot of exercises with dumbbells for biceps. If you really wanted to have fun and work your core, you could stand on one foot and you can do your biceps because this has to contract. But you got to be careful with it. That's more advanced.
Oh,
exactly. So we don't. Again, I don't want to create any injuries with evidence of tape.
All right.
So it's about keeping your posture good, your head up. Another question that comes up is, well, how much weight should I do? When you're doing bicep curls, for example, you want to have enough weight so that 9 and 10 are difficult to do, and you really have to dig deep to get to it.
Okay.
That's if you're looking for strength and size. If you're looking for muscle tone, it's low weight, high repetition. You want to do 3 sets, and you just want to take your time, and you want to work the muscle, and you want to concentrate with it.
Okay. See, I'm not so sure I do them right now that you tell. Now, I'll tell you what I do. I actually have 35-pound weights that I actually curl, and I do them in 15 rep segments, usually opposite.
Right.
I rarely do the 2 together.
Well, I got to say, if you're doing 15 repetitions and you're not having any problems.
No problems that I'm aware of.
Then you either increase the weight, or you add another set. Because otherwise, we talked about change. Your body gets used to it, and you're not going to do anything different. So you want to modify how you do it.
I just don't do it as often. I mean, sometimes I wait 2 or 3 weeks before I do it again, and then I'll go for 2 or 3 weeks.
So again, it's the repetition. So if you're doing it every 2 or 3 weeks, you can do whatever you want because your body's not going to remember it by the next time you get there anyway.
Right.
Okay. So before we get to you with the lower back program for low back pain, we talked about how when new fads come out, new exercises, routines, and something exciting is there, new injuries come up as well. So the new thing is Zumba. We're not going to make you do it, but the new thing with Zumba is people are now having knee problems. And it's not so much from the jumping up and down that they were getting from aerobics, it's because their feet is getting stuck and they're twisting, because with Zumba, evidently, you have to twist and you change your position. So
using your hips a lot.
Using your hips and your feet. So you got to either put on socks so that you can slide, or you get the dance shoes so that you can slide, so that you can move your body without injuring your knees, which will also help your hips and your lower back. So that's the Zumba tip. But let's talk about low back pain. So if somebody has low back pain, we have to get things moving before you can go into your normal exercise routine. And again, whenever you start an exercise, you never want to do it first thing in the morning. You want to make sure that your body is warmed up before you get started. So the first one is for your lower back to stretch it out. So I'm going to have you lie down on your back right in front here. All right, and what you're going to do is you're going to open up those joints in the lower back. So you're going to grab one knee, grab your right leg, and you're going to pull it up towards your shoulder, and you feel that stretching in your lower back. I'm glad you have your head down. You don't have to have your head up. Keep it relaxed. You hold that for 3 to 5 seconds, feel that stretch, and then you do the other leg and pull that up, and really, really pull that. I know you're young and flexible, but for the rest of us, this is what you want to do. From there, you then do both legs. Okay, so then bring those up, and you feel that stretch there, and then you would repeat it. You run through that 3 or 5 times.
Now, see, if I do that, my knees would be popping.
Just the first 3 times.
Making all the noise.
The first 3 times, then it will loosen up. So you're gonna run through that 3 to 5 times, and then from there, we're going to work on what we talked about, the cat-camel exercise. So you're going to get on your hands and your knees, right? Just like a cat would do
I like this one.
I like this one. So everybody can get on their hands and knees. All right. So the first thing is I want you to get like a cat. So when a cat gets angry, what does it do? Raises up its back. Right. So we're going to go the other way first. So the back comes up, the head comes down, and you exhale when you do that, and that's going to stretch everything up in here in the back, and then you go the reverse to the camel. You breathe in, and you pick the head up, right? And then you go the other way again. Sound effects are great. And you'll do that 3 to 5 times. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you'll get more flexible as that goes on. From that position, we're going to keep with the animal theme, and we're going to go to the downward dog, which is a yoga exercise where you're going to stand on up carefully.
Okay.
And you're gonna walk your way back. She's showing off now. And when
let's see if we can do this one.
There you go. That's great. Now, you're gonna let your head relax. Get back down there.
Oh yeah. I'll watch her now.
All right. So you're there. Let your head relax. Feel the muscles in the backs of the legs stretching, which is going to help the lower back. Let your head rest too, because we don't want to mess with that. You do that for 3 to 5 breaths. And once that feels nice and loose, then you're going to go from the dog to the cobra. So you're going to get back down on the floor. There you go. And you're going to let those hips come down.
Okay.
And you reach up and you tilt your head up to the ceiling, and you're going to stretch, and you're going to feel that pulling. It's going to pull in front. It's going to pull in the back.
It does.
You breathe there for 3 to 5 seconds. 3 to 5 breaths, I should say. And then you relax.
Okay.
And then you can repeat that. All right. So it was the knee to chest exercise first. So you're on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll be doing the cat and the camel. From there, you then do the dog. And you go right to the cobra, and we're getting flexibility for the lower back, so that from here, if you want to go ahead and do a more vigorous routine, you can absolutely do that. But this is a way to get started for some lower back exercises.
You know, this is harder than she makes it look.
I know. You're not stuck, are you?
No, I'm not stuck. I could cross my legs and come up.
Okay, and that's it. And whenever you're doing these exercises, you always want to make sure that you're going to breathe, you take your time, and certainly you both are very flexible. If you've never done this before, you want to ease your way into it. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to get into the downward dog and you can't get there, well then you come out a little bit further, or you put something down that you can rest your hands on. Everything is adaptable and modifiable, if that's a word, so that you can do everything. The important thing is you have to do it, get used to doing it, and then change and move on to something else.
And that's what we need to, keep saying to folks, is that these are not one-time exercises that you do forever. You can change them up and find other ways to get them done.
Absolutely.
And this is, I love doing these things because I think they're great for warm-up, and I also like to change my routine from time to time so that it doesn't get boring, because it gets really boring after a while if you do the same thing over and over again.
And then when you're bored, you're more apt not to do it. So you want to keep it different. You want to do something different 2 or 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. And remember, we talked about the recommendations: 30 minutes of exercise, 5 times a day, or 5 times a week rather, or you can do 10 to 15 minutes twice a day. But you have to get it in. It has to be regular so that you're getting the benefits from it.
Right. Now, Dr. Cardonick has shown us exercise in our office and exercise here at home or wherever you happen to do them. But wherever you are, there is a way that you can exercise and make your body more flexible and be less prone to pain, less prone to injury, less prone to everything. We want to see you out there on that exercise floor. We have Chef Live Ive in the house. I am glad to have you here, sir.
Glad to be here.
And he talks about men cooking. Well, I guess not really cooking. It's more like food preparation. We're talking about raw foods.
Right.
And tell us a little more.
Raw food or live food is really dealing with a plant-based diet. I like to work with fruits, vegetables, herbs, grains, legumes, and even nuts. And I have worked out ways where I can even make nuts taste like meat.
Okay.
There's some people call it nut meat or nut pate. But for the most part, there's ways that we can season your favorite almonds, sunflower seeds, whatever. You can basically make it into a meat. Mm-hmm. You could sweeten it, make it into an icing for a cake. You could dehydrate the nuts, a wet fruit and a dry fruit, and make a pie crust. And you can make paradise pies. And also, the nuts can basically make a tahini dressing or almond dressing. So there's just different ways from hydrating or dehydrating. So in the live food, I think one of the essential tools definitely are a good strong blender, a good set of knives. I prefer the balloon handles, and the with my big hands, you need something like that. Dehydrators, juicers. A lot of people like the Champion juicers. I do have one of those. And then sometimes the cylindrical juicers serve its purposes. Okay. And really just the time, really, when you have the nice tools, you just kind of
makes the job easier, like anything else in this. Now, I know that you got into raw foods in particular because of things that happened in your life.
Yes.
And one of them was an accident, car accident?
A car accident, kind of like It was a major pileup on Route 1, down by the University of Maryland, and recovering from that, going through the therapy and everything I had to do, it felt like my intestines were kind of like, twisted and shattered. I was kind of hit head on, the jaws of life, and 9 firefighters or EMTs pulled me out the car.
Okay.
So it was a traumatic experience, and no one really dealt with my internal problems. But I was in touch with a holistic healer, and a friend of mine that I traveled to Egypt some years earlier with said that this person really is gentle, and maybe you should really go through a real detox, and maybe include colonics with that.
Okay.
So you know how men are really a little slow about getting on that table with the colonics.
We're slow on anything medical, just about.
So after about treatment of 5 colonics, an elder friend of mine was like, hey, there's no need to, I was already away from pork and red meat. No need to put chicken and fish. That's something serious when you got cleaned out. So you had already met folks that were, doing the raw food in different study groups. So, and I kind of had a way in the kitchen already, because I could make anything taste good. But my whole thing was, even when we eat meat, this makes the meat taste better. The spices and herbs and things from, so I basically just made it my point to really, eat live food.
Well, I've already had some of what you have been fixing and cooking before, and I know it's wonderful. So what do you got set for us today?
Okay, I'm gonna do what we would call peppered mushroom steak.
All right.
And there's no meat in
and
this
yeah,
steak,
there's no steak in it. But
no steak in this peppered mushroom. So peppered mushroom steak, or mushroom peppered steak. I have 3 mushrooms shredded. Some people may be aware of the long, stringy inuki mushroom. I have oyster mushrooms, but they're already shredded, and shiitake mushrooms. So technically, they have a way to kind of mimic meat, and there's ways that you can kind of spice the mushroom.
Well, I'm a mushroom fan anyway.
Okay.
I like mushrooms in everything. Doesn't matter.
That's a little bit of jerk seasoning, a little bit of thyme. I'm going to put assorted colors of bell peppers, red, yellow, and green. Also a little spinach leaf. Also adds a color and also vitamins too.
I tend to get spinach salads far more than I get what's the other kind of lettuce.
Right. Also, everybody loves a good onion, so we're going to work through the scallion right here. Goes in there.
Okay.
So the scallions go into.
Hey, I love your knives, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And if guys ever wanted something, a bonus for cooking, I'm going to show you his knife set sitting on the side.
And yeah, I was really hip to one of my teachers, brother Aris Latham, used to come to our study group in the early 90s. And when I saw him later on, he came back to the States. He was in Jamaica for a while, but he came back and he introduced me to the balloon handle Henkels. Okay. And this is the updated one.
And for big hands, like a lot of men have, this works.
Yes, because most knives sometimes have a little ending which really kind of stop you from really getting that grip. So for the marinade, I'm gonna use a high-end flaxseed oil.
Okay.
We change up on the oils, but I don't really over oil, but for the most part.
Right.
These all have the omega 3, 6, and 9, the oils that I use. So this is not the average frying Crisco. We're talking about high-end.
Right, you're talking about something totally different from those kinds of things. Right.
And this is something other than soy. Coconut Secret, from the coconut, there's a lot of things that I never liked coconut growing up, but now they make a nice soy sauce.
Okay.
Coconut Secret. They even, well, really, the coconut water is one of the best cleansers you have. So, and also, I got into coconut water after I had that car accident and really was bouncing back. So what the Jamaicans call the jelly water, the young coconut, which the nut hasn't formed to the inside, but that water and that jelly has a lot of healing effects. So I want to put a little bit of citrus in here.
Okay. As your lemon. You're going to try to lime up there with that too?
Yes, we're going to do lemon lime.
All right.
And that'll make our steak gravy. You can almost say Worcester has nothing on this sauce that we're about to throw
There you go. There's your line.
Lime, yep. And really just a spin of the blender. Well, I might want to put a little bit of cayenne in there, a little pepper.
Go ahead. Whatever gonna make it good.
Uh-huh. A little bit of dry jerk.
Okay.
Sometimes we make our jerk season from scratch, and maybe on another venture we'll start dealing with spices. But a little spin. And really, everything's in its natural flavor. Sometimes we can put a little garlic or curry. You know, there's different variations on when you
Okay.
get into these.
Do I get to stir this around?
Yes, you can stir that around.
All right. See, I know how to do this well.
Okay.
I know how to stir and I know how to eat.
I understand.
I've been practicing a long time now.
That's good. So get that gravy all through there. So the bell peppers, the mushroom will take on that flavor. And then as it sits, I usually like to let things sit for a day or two. But anyway, the taste tester can taste the new version.
Let me invite Q. Come on over here. Come on over here.
Hey,
here,
brother Q.
Can I put this in?
Yes, he can have the calabash.
All right, here you go. Q, come on this side of me. There you go. I'm going to give you a little taste of that. I don't know where my spoons and forks are, but I'm happy with that. That's what
yes, you can use your hand. And, you know. Just see how the flavor really.
I love it, man.
Oh my gosh.
Look, if you don't think that you like this kind of stuff, you gotta try it. It is very good. I could have it all day. Great for snacks, great for everything. And look, go to CEFN's website at www.cefn.com and you will find more about Ivan and know more about our show.